I have been declared deceased, prematurely to be sure.
Well, he's certainly alive, but banks and credit bureaus declared him dead. So tonight, we walk through how we brought him back to life.
Doppler radar is showing mostly dry weather right now across the Pacific Northwest, but I am tracking a weather system headed our way. I'll tell you if that means rain or snow. Your forecast is next.
Some people believe in them, others don't, but thousands of people report seeing UFOs each year, and one man right here in eastern Washington says he's responsible for tracking them.
We are being visited routinely by these things that since 1947 we've called UFOs.
It is good to have you with us, everyone. I'm Jane McCarthy.
And I'm Mark Hanrahan. Sometimes viewers come to us with unusual problems, and this next story represents one of those. This viewer was trying to open a bank account in Spokane when he was told he was listed as dead.
Yeah, he couldn't get anyone to listen, and he finally called us. In my Two on Your Side report, I outlined how we brought him back to life in the eyes of the banks and the credit bureaus. Steve Hanna is in pretty rough shape.
The loss of sleep, the inability to eat, things like, well, I'm completely unable to eat, but it's wearing on me considerably, yes.
His condition is quite unique.
I have been declared dead by a major financial institution, and I can't seem to get anyone to correct it.
Seems like you should be at a doctor's office.
Turns out I think I can help Steve. First, a brief recap of his long, nerve-wracking tale. It came to light several months ago when he tried opening a new checking account.
And the guy behind the desk is, well, my computer says you're dead.
Clearly, Steve is very much alive. So, how on earth did this happen? Well, early last year, Steve's mother passed away.
Was named executor of the estate. I'm the eldest of 3 children, and began the procedures, closing out her credit cards, closed Capital One's account, her Capital One card. In doing that, they required, of course, my personal information, letters testamentary, assignment from the court, all the legal paperwork, which I shuffled right off to them.
Fast forward several months, and this.
Dear estate of Stephen Hanna, there is no estate of Stephen Hanna. Please accept our condolences for the loss of Stephen P. Hanna.
Oh boy.
The letter came from Capital One.
My God, I had to practically give blood to prove my mother had died. How could I possibly be listed as dead like that?
Steve says he called the company a dozen times.
I am pleading for your help to correct this injury.
And wrote 3 letters, too.
No one will believe me. No one will respond even to it.
So here he sits. He can't open a checking account and worries it'll be hard to convince prospective employers he's truly a guy with a beating heart.
I have no recourse, basically.
You're at your wit's end.
That's very well put, yes.
So give me some time.
Certainly.
And then we'll meet again.
I would like that very much.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Capital One's news of Steve's death made its way to his credit report, too. So we're looking at Steve's credit report, and we pull up Equifax here, and it shows NA, not applicable, so he just doesn't exist in their systems. And I'm calling on behalf of a viewer. I call and email Capital One. It took a few of those before I got a nice woman who said she'd help.
I called you, and sure enough, within a week, I actually got a real human being from Capital One to call me back. First time in months.
With that underway, Steve and I tackle the credit bureaus too. I think we need to write one to Experian just to get that ball rolling, because they're not showing you as a human in their system right now. A little more than a month after I got involved, Capital One made good on their promise. They had revived Steve in their own system and with the credit bureaus too.
You're alive and well.
Oh yes, I'm back in the land of the living.
How does that feel?
Wonderful. I may stop getting letters from funeral companies saying you need a plot.
Well, that's a relief. Through our deep dive into the problem, we learned it was one little stamp that originally sent Steve plunging into Capital One's dead file.
The cause was, believe it or not, one single bill accidentally stamped deceased returned to them in the mail.
By the post office?
By the post office. But Capital One, and they admitted this, did nothing to verify it. No confirmation, no death certificate, no notification, not even a phone call to my estate, to see if I was really dead.
Finally, Steve's stress about his bogus, untimely death can be put to rest.
So you just needed someone to listen?
Absolutely. And if it weren't for you, nobody would have listened.
Steve is back at full steam, now with a story and a memento to share.
This is the hilarious letter I'm going to frame, addressed to me, to the estate of Stephen P. Hanna, consoling me on the loss of Stephen P. Hanna, which is me.
So here's to wishing Steve a long and full life with his credit card companies and otherwise.
Well, I'm glad Steve's now alive.
Yes.
And he's taking it obviously in stride. He's taking it well, but how frustrating.
Yeah, and now, I mean, because he had just moved here,
Sure.
and so he tries to open a bank account, no, and he wanted to get a job,
Right.
and has since gotten a job. So it was like kind of just snowballing.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, is Social Security going to cut me
No
off
kidding.
too?
And
You
that
know?
one little mistake led to all that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So Steve says if he has any advice from all of this, it's to monitor your credit closely, because he didn't even know there was a problem until he went to open that bank account and he was denied.
Wow.
So he said, yeah, I'm basically looking at everything every week now religiously.
Yeah, no kidding. Good advice from him, right?
Yeah, and not just for his problem, like for, you know, how many problems can come up if you don't check your
Boy.
credit and your credit cards.
That is the truth. Good story, Jane. Thank you very much. Well, a former Lewis and Clark High School student appeared in court today, charged with making threats against the high school. This is the second time in less than a year Spokane police arrested Ryan Lee for felony harassment. In June, police said Lee was behind an Instagram account threatening the school. A Spokane County judge set his bond at $1 million.
We are following up on this week's somewhat bizarre story out of Moscow. The University of Idaho issued a campus-wide alert yesterday saying an embattled professor was banned from campus. They told students, if you see her, call 911.
The reason? She admitted to police she had used meth and had access to guns. That was in a November police report, so Two on Your Side wanted to know if that might open up the school to any potential liability.
Our Taylor Vito spoke with some independent lawyers about that. He joins us live with what he found, along with a newly released police report. Taylor?
Yeah, guys, we'll get to that lawyer stuff in just a little bit, but we first want to get to this police report. This relates to where some of this all started, this report that university officials cited in their reasons to send out that vandal alert. We have an excerpt of that report to show you. Now, this was in early November. When police arrived, Denise Bennett told officers that she was attempting to hide her husband's guns from him in an effort to, quote, hurt his feelings. The two were arguing, but the fight wasn't physical. Both Bennett and her husband said they were having marriage problems related to Bennett's Bennett recently using meth. Now, officers didn't find any drugs on her, and they opted not to charge her or investigate her. Police told me that's common in cases like these, but Bennett was saying she was going to sell her husband's guns without him knowing. Now, that night, Bennett was described as acting, quote, despondent, and that her work and home life were not good. Bennett added that she was trying to do crazy things to get a reaction out of her husband. She also said she didn't want to hurt herself or others. Now, Bennett's husband told me last night that he disputes this information and says that his wife is not a drug user. Now, we should add that we normally don't report on domestic dispute cases like this or low-level drug cases, allegations, I should say. But given the circumstances of this story and that the U of I cited this report in its reasoning for barring her from campus and issuing that alert, we certainly wanted to flesh out this whole thing. So now getting back to the other aspect of this story, as I mentioned, we wanted to know if there could be any potential legal ramifications for the University of Idaho related to that alert that said Bennett was a meth user and had access to firearms. Lawyers told me another factor could be at play here, that one being whistleblower protections. For this story, I reached out to James, Vernon, and Weeks. They're a Coeur d'Alene law firm. I asked them to look at the story of U of I professor Denise Bennett to see if there are any potential legal implications here. Namely, would Bennett have a defamation case against the school since they issued an alert labeling her as a meth user? Now, defamation cases aren't necessarily always black and white. The important thing for U of I to prove here would be how reliable the information was they were receiving about Bennett.
And if you actually believe it's true, whether or not it's defamatory, you'd still be covered under a privilege, which we call a qualified privilege.
Moscow police confirmed to me that in November, Bennett admitted to police that she had used meth. Police were responding to a domestic disturbance call, and Bennett told officers she used the drug the day before. But attorney Daniel Keyes and his colleagues say another legal issue could potentially be at play here, one related to whistleblower laws. Those are protections, either federal or state, designed to protect people who report or expose wrongdoings at workplaces or organizations. Bennett's husband told us last night that her reason for sparring with administrators was in part because a gay student was being mistreated.
She was trying to protect the rights of one of her students. She thought that she felt that there was homophobia involved and that the student's rights were not being considered, and this administration was prejudiced against a gay student.
Key says if Bennett being placed on leave and the vandal alert issued to campus was retaliatory for that, that could be a problem.
If that communication is made and then they take negative action against her, that could be a violation of a whistleblower protection.
A question, though, would be if what Bennett was reporting was for the benefit of U of I as an organization or the public. Her claims would be key, too.
It depends on the level of what she is reporting.
The University of Idaho has said that November police report, in addition to Bennett's behavior over the last week, raised concerns about campus safety. They said they considered those details to be relative and urgent enough to share. That's according to a spokesperson I talked with yesterday. Live in Moscow, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
A lot to sort out, Taylor. Thank you very much. All right, getting to your local forecast now. You can expect some wet weather tonight and into tomorrow.
Yeah, Tom Sherry tracking all of that from the Weather Center tonight. Tom?
Yeah, then as we look farther ahead, it looks like by the time we get to Sunday night into Monday, we could get some snowfall to make it slippery and a little difficult for you on Monday morning. Right now we have a winter weather advisory for Friday, not in Spokane, but those areas out in north central Washington and the east slopes of the Cascades, pretty much from I-90 north. That area is shaded in yellow. That's for ice and snow. And then a winter storm watch is in effect in mostly areas east of us in western Montana and also right along the Lookout Pass area. Could see between 4 and 12 inches of snow. 4,000 foot levels it's 4 to 6 inches of snow below 4,000 feet, and then above 4,000 feet, it's anywhere between 6 and 12 inches of snow. You can see it right here, some of the expected snowfalls. Sunday through Monday, we could get 2 to 3 inches in the Spokane area. Look at Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint, my gosh, and Wallace, Idaho. So the potential is there. Again, this would be Sunday night into Monday for that to occur. In the meantime, I think it'll be mostly a rain event for us here. Friday's high right around 40 degrees. And as we check out the rest of the weekend, I've got 42 on Saturday, 37 on Sunday. But again, it's Sunday night into a very cold Monday when we could see the bulk of that snowfall occur right here. I'll have more on your forecast coming up in a few minutes.